Thank you for listening to Steel Roses, a podcast for women by women. My name is Jenny.
And I'm Melissa. And we're here to bring you honest content in a space where we can be real about the everyday challenges for women.
So, Melissa, another week. We were recording close this week, right? We recorded, what was it, on Tuesday or something? Was that this week that just happened?
It feels a little more condensed.
It was a blur, I gotta be honest.
And guys, we are not recording first thing in the morning. So if we sound a little more awake,
right? That's why. I know. Lots of shifts. Let's see if the vibe, the energy is different in this episode now that I think about it, because it's not 5 a.m. It's 10 p.m.
Oh, actually, cousin, how was your this was the first week of summer break, right? Official summer break or no?
Yeah, it was.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Well, yes, it was. Actually, I'm very, very grateful to the school system that my kids are in, because they are part of a camp that runs half day, Monday through Thursday, which I found out today on Friday that they don't run on Fridays. That was a surprise for me when I pulled into the parking lot. They don't run on Fridays. Apparently I still have a hard time reading instructions. That's a carryover from when I was like 5. I don't really know. I'm glad it wasn't just me driving around the parking lot looking sad. There was some other parents also looking like, damn, it's not happening today. But it wasn't bad. My kids are getting bigger. So, because the twins are in first grade, the twins are going to first grade. My son is going into second grade. So it's a little bit less of like the insanity. It's still mommy for everything, but I'm hoping to curtail that.
Like we're working on it.
We're working on it. They do still all try to curl up on my lap at the same time.
That's really cute. You sent me those pictures.
Yeah, I sent you those pictures. That was actually kind of funny, but it's, I had to explain them to them a lot, that I'm like, you guys you don't fit. Like, I don't know what to tell you. It's not happening. Melissa, before we go, well, I want to hear about your week, because you, on our last episode, you talked about going to spin class, and you were going to start going to spin class. And I really wanted to get an update from you on that, because I thought that would be interesting. And then I want to let our listeners know about our launch this week, if they weren't already aware of it through our Instagram posts.
Oh, yes. That is exciting news. Probably more exciting than my spin class update. But I survived. My husband's coworker actually and I went together, because I was like, it sounds so ridiculous. I'm 35 years old, but it was intimidating walking in there, because it's all like young kids. And when I say kids, I mean like young girls in their like 20s or whatever. And it's funny because it's like they're playing. I didn't know what to expect. And I'm sure spin classes are different, but like this, it's called Cycle Bar, and they have different locations throughout Miami. And I think it's in other places in the country too. But they play like upbeat, like club music, and they got lights going on, and it's like partially in the dark. And yes. And I thought I was going to die. What was really funny was like very early on in the class, like after the warm up, they want you to stand up and ride your bike. And I'm like, what the hell?
I remember doing that. Yeah.
I was like, what the hell is this? Are you kidding me right now? I was like, there's no ease-in. There's no beginner class. I need like,
I kind of wish I was there with you when you were doing it. Like
you would have died, because I didn't know how to snap in the shoes. So I hear it's different at each gym, but like at this, again, it's like a spin. It's just spinning. So in these rooms, they have all the bikes set up, and then like the shoes feel like tap shoes almost, and they snap into the pedals. I got one in. I couldn't get the other one in. And then when it was time, when the class was over and my legs felt like jelly, I couldn't get them to snap out.
Yeah.
And I literally had to leave. one shoe. And I was like, I'm sorry. And she was like, no, it's fine. I was like, I'm a newbie. I couldn't, like my ankle.
You
They're
had
like,
to
yeah,
literally
have
you
to
had to
like,
pry your foot out. That's
yeah. I was like, I literally unvelcroed the shoe and I was like, I'm leaving it here attached to the pedal.
That's really funny.
So I'm not as sore as I thought I was going to be, but I am sore. Like my back and like my feet are sore. I think I have to work on form. So
yeah.
Actually, I was talking to my mother, and shout out, he's probably not listening, but shout out to our uncle, because I found out that our mutual uncle has been doing spin class for years.
I didn't know that.
So I'm going to, when we have our family get together in a couple weeks, I'm going to be like, how
I had no idea. Good for him.
Good for him. I mean, he's in really good shape, but
I mean, no, he is. He actually is in really good shape.
If I was him, I'd be shouting that from the mountaintops because I could barely, like,
he's sneaky like that. Now you make me want to take up spin again. I don't know if my gym offers it or not.
But yes, that was that. The other, well, I was going to piggyback off your school talk because it was like a mom anxiety ridden couple days because I actually toured a school for my daughter Mia, and so she's turning 3 this summer. And I had debated. So originally, pre-COVID, the plan was like, oh, she's gonna, go into daycare part-time when she's 6 months, 9 months, something like that. And everyone has a different parenting plan, right? So there's, Jenny and I belong to a big family, and we have lots of cousins with who had lots of kids, and everyone's always had a different plan. Like, no, I don't want to do daycare, preschool, or yes, I do, or whatever. The whole spectrum we have in the family.
True.
So anyway, I was always on the spectrum of, my daughter, she's going.
It's true. You used to tell me that all the time. I
got things to do. I got to get work, my career set, whatever. But funny enough is post-COVID, COVID forced our plans to change. I've been home and working either, balance. It's been a balancing act, right? But I've been the primary caregiver during the day while Matt's at work. So post COVID now I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can let her. Like, I don't know if I'm ready. Like, she seems ready. And it was really cute. The school was wonderful. Like I said, we live in Miami, and it's quite like we wanted to look at this Montessori school, and I was just like, I loved it, and I set the bar too high because this it's like $1,500 a month for half days. Like it's more than some of the other schools, but I saw this school first, and I'm like, damn it,
yeah.
Now I've set the bar
like I can't go
so high,
back.
but it's freaking amazing. So we'll see, but it's really cute because my daughter, I told her, like, I was like, oh, I'm going to go check out a school for you. And so the next morning we talked about it. I was like, oh, Mia, it's really nice. I saw lots of kids. They have you would make friends and you do little activities, and then mommy come pick you up. So literally the next morning she was
oh my God, was she getting ready to go?
She was like, mommy, can I go to school? And I was like, oh, Mia, I was like, you have to turn 3. Remember, we're going to turn 3 and then we can meet. I was like, we're thinking about it, right? We're going to make a decision together. You, me, and daddy. And she goes, mommy, I want to go to school. She goes, and then you come right back and you come pick me up. I go make friends.
I love it when she talks.
I'm going to go paint and then you pick me up. And I was like, yes, I will always come. She goes, you come right back. I was like, yes, I will always come right back. But I'm pretty sure that she's ready to go and I'm the one dragging.
You're the problem.
So yeah. And it's so funny because literally before I had my daughter, I used to make fun of mom like this, and it's a little surreal because I'd be like, what's the big deal? And now I'm having like mom anxiety because I'm like, oh my God, she's the most important. Sorry, Matt. But she's the most important thing that I'm responsible for, completely in my life. And how do I let her go into, you know what I mean? Let her go into someone else and like someone that I don't know personally. And it's not like I haven't left her with obviously Matt's parents, my parents.
Yeah, but it's different.
You
It's
know,
different because you're also putting her in, and then it's also when you're putting your child in with other kids, they're gonna see other behaviors, and that's
so
gonna that. And I will also say this because I'm always very like, and I don't bullshit you. Her behavior will probably change after,
Of course,
because something enlightens and something lights up in there, and they start to get exposed almost to the world. And in that, her little personality. Yeah. In preschool. For everyone listening to, by the way, in case you started feeling bad about yourself because Melissa feels bad and you started being like, oh my God, I feel guilty because I don't feel bad. I did not feel bad at all. And moreover, everyone called me the first time I had to drop my kids off at daycare, and they're like, you okay? We're here for you. Did you cry? And I was like, no, I have a conference call at 9:15. Like, they need to go. Like, I have to do other stuff. No, I'm not I didn't just dump them off. I looked at like 6 or 7 facilities.
we're doing
visited places. Yeah. Like, I did my due diligence. However, I just didn't.
You're like, I was ready for that.
I was like,
you also had 3. You also had 3. So
that's true.
It was. But yes, no, I'm in that moment where I'm like, man, my old self would be laughing at my new self.
Yeah, I mean, I am laughing a little bit. It is actually a little bit. I am a little bit.
But in case anybody out there is having that sort of, well, what's funny is because she's in Mia takes ballet with a couple other girls at her age, and I was talking to some of the moms, and we're all kind of in the same boat. So literally next week, I'm having a play date with one of the moms, and we're going to take the kids to the splash pad, and then we're going to talk about our mom anxiety and how, what schools are you looking at? When are you thinking? Blah, blah, blah. So but I did want to mention it because I'm like, these are things that you don't realize pre-kids what it feels like in the moment. So anyway, that's a very long tangent
of what you're going to do.
That is the update.
That's
for the week.
That's the real. And she was anxious, and Melissa was anxious. And the reason why I know this is because we didn't talk. Like, normally we text during the week. I was actually just saying this. We were in a post recording mode, and we were just chit chatting about business stuff. And I actually said to her, I was like, I knew you were having a rough week because we weren't communicating. I was sending messages to her.
She's so busy.
And it's funny because I'll text her. I text her and she doesn't respond. And I just keep going because I'm like, she'll see this shit eventually. And I just keep throwing stuff at the wall. And I'm hopeful that she reads it.
Let's take a quick break.
Are you interested in podcasting but not sure where to start? My name is Jenny Benitez, and I'm here to help guide you through your podcast launch and maintenance. Check out the link in the episode description for Podcasting Unboxed, your comprehensive startup guide. I am very excited to work with you.
It's so funny. Well, and my daughter knows how to open my phone, which is crazy, but True. She can enter my code and she'll get rid of the notifications. And so Jenny will text me and be like, did you see? I'll be like, no, what? And I'll pick up my phone. It's either me or my husband, Matt. So.
Yes. Well, at least he replies to me, sometimes. Yes. And then we have a chuckle. Sure. Yeah, that's different. Well, and Mimi started calling me. So that's helpful too.
She has.
She has.
Yeah. And she go, Aunt Jenny? Anyway, this was a very long
That was a long one. That was long. But obviously Melissa has a lot of anxiety about it because she shared it so much. And that's how you know. Just so you guys know, that's the tell when you can tell
that something's mental space in my head right
now. She needed to unload it.
So now that is done.
It's done.
Done.
That's done.
Take us away, cousin.
So for today's episode, you're gonna hear my voice quite a bit, so bear with us. We're taking a little bit of a different approach here. I wanted to share, and Melissa actually had flagged this to me, something that I've been working on for several years, and something that I'm doing currently right now, that we thought might actually be helpful to some of our listeners, and just kind of opening up the discussion for this particular topic. So I know that the word manifesting gets thrown around a lot these days, and vision board and, meditation. And it's almost like, it's almost like too much. It's like an over index to this whole, manifesting abundance and all that stuff. And it's getting a little muddied with what the true meaning of it is. And so I actually had started my own journey with manifesting and vision boarding, and meditating. I want to say about 15 years ago, which sounds kind of crazy now that I'm saying that out loud. I started around 15 years ago. It was my first shot at manifesting. It was the first brush with it. By way of chance, this book was introduced to me, which is kind of how manifesting works. But a book called The Secret was brought to my attention. And The Secret was published in 2006. I think I got my hands on it in maybe 2008, if I'm remembering correctly.
Sounds about right. Because do you know why? Because I remember being in college, and at that time I was like partially commuting
and stealing my clothes.
And stealing your clothes. And I remember you telling me about this book.
Yeah.
And you're like, you have to read it. And I remember it was like your face lit up. I still have a very distinct memory, which is so funny. But
well, it literally altered the course of my life. This book altered the course of my life. I was all in. I read the book and I was like, let me do this. Let me really give this a shot. This sounds legit. And I just want to go with it. Like, I want to really give this a good shot here. So I read the book cover to cover, and I just started employing some of the methods around manifesting. So what is manifesting exactly? Like, if you look up the definition for it, it's the act or fact of showing an abstract idea. A technique that has worked time and time again. Basically, manifesting is not just like a hippy dippy bullshit thing. It's not just doodling things. Like, it is legit. Like, there's a legit method to it. Outside of regular people using it in their day to day, athletes actually use manifesting. There's a lot of research around athletes that will visualize the play, visualize the win, like just put yourself in the mode of like what the actual sport or whatever it is that you're doing. And it helps pull through and align you with the exact vision that you had in your head. Interestingly enough, because, we like to study, we like to lean on our research. There's actual studies around the physical effects of manifestation. Again, every time I talk about this, I'm like, oh my God, this sounds nuts. Like, I feel weird saying it, but it's legitimate.
You're like, I'm not a hippie.
I'm not crazy. I promise I'm super logical. So there's an actual study. I looked it up. I'm going to talk about how I kind of came about some of this stuff, but in the National Library of Medicine, there's a study called From Mental Power to Muscle Power, Gaining Strength by Using the Mind. Now, in this particular study, they had all the participants. They had the control group, and then they had the group that was going to be doing the manifesting, and then the group that was doing the actual physical activity. And what they came away with, and I'm going to read their conclusion verbatim, we conclude that the mental training employed by this study enhances, it's a little sciencey, but I'll break it down, enhances the cortical output signal, which drives the muscles to a higher activation level and increases strength. Essentially, it's basically saying that if you're going through the motions in your mind, it actually does it translates to a physical change. So in the study, I think this one was the one that was like a finger strength study, and they had a group of people doing actual exercises to increase the strength of their fingers. Then they had the group that was just manifesting and visualizing doing these exercises. And then they had the control group that did nothing. The people that did the physical activity, I'm not remembering the percentages correctly, but I know that, let's say, like, their strength increased like 47%, something like that. The group that manifested, their strength increased like 35%. So there wasn't that big of a variance between the people that actually did it versus the people that did it in their head, which is insane.
Yeah.
So just so you guys know, I'm doing my own social experiment around crunches because I hate doing crunches. And so in my head, I've been like, just so you guys know how like nuts I'm getting. But it's crazy because it's legitimate. It's real. Like it's a real thing. And there's actual proof. And it's, even beyond this study, there are loads of support materials out there. If you really want to get into it, I have several books here in my house. Not that I'm obviously not, lend them to anybody, but like there's actual like science-based, like legitimate things, like physics-based methods that are proving that manifesting is legit. You can, with your mind and through the effort of will, change the physical state around you. It's real. So if you really wanted to get into it, and this is like a very simple, like kind of
example
here. Thank you. The goal with manifesting, I think this is missed a little bit because manifesting is thrown around so much. The goal is to generate the feelings you would experience if you achieved your goal, which puts you in alignment with actually having your goal, which then circles back around, leads you to achieving your goal. So I know it sounds nuts, but essentially what you would be doing is kind of like what I did, I don't know, about 14, 15 years ago before I met my husband. I, in my mind, visualized the exact type of person that I saw myself with. This is the person that I want. I want him to have good values. I visualized his job. I down
about that.
Down
That's
to
great.
a T. I just went to town. And so, oh my God, this is going to sound crazy. When I met my husband, I came home and my cousin was like, oh, like, how'd your date go? Blah, blah,
I literally
blah.
remember this.
And I like looked at her and I was like, I'm going to marry him. Like, this is the guy. And I cannot express how much Melissa's jaw like hit the floor.
I was literally speechless, and I'm never speechless. I did not
like
know
she
what
didn't
to
even
say.
To the point where she didn't actually even respond. She just was like, oh, that's good. I gotta go. And she kind of just left. And I was like, I guess I shocked her. I guess I shocked her into silence. Like, that's crazy.
Because we have to give the context too, because prior to this, you were so focused on your career, and you were so goal oriented on other different parts of your life.
Yeah, that's true.
And I didn't realize, like, I remember you had told me about The Secret, and The Secret meaning the book. And I remember you were talking about these things, but I didn't know what you were doing it in reference to.
Yeah.
And then when you came, I literally remember you're like, that's it. It's him.
Yeah, I was like, that's it. This is him.
I'm gonna marry him. And I was like,
he doesn't even believe it. Like, honestly, like, I've told him the story. I've said it to him. Like, I'm like, no, I knew when I met you. Like, that was it. Like, you were it for me. I knew the day that I met you. And he was like, I did not have that same view. Which is funny because we laugh about it all the time. But he didn't. It's true. He didn't. And we also joke about the fact that, like, and this is totally digressing, but we also joke about the fact that I like wined and dined him. Like, I was like, this is my man. Like, I'm gonna show him how valuable he is to me by making him feel like the most special person. And that was what I needed to do.
And it was so surreal at the time, but I think, and trying to, I want to, from what you've told me over even just these past couple months, because I think you've hit a new level and a new engagement with this manifesting journey. And I'm so determined. Like, I think you and I, even though we're close in age, it's just we're at different life stages, and because I'm so entangled in like the toddler years and the craziness, but it's definitely on my high priority to-do list. And because I do believe there is something to this, because I even saw it. Now, my father had a freak accident with his knee, and I'm digressing a little bit, but when you were talking about that there's actual physical studies, it's actually hit sort of mainstream medical treatment, because these are things that they were teaching him how to do. And now they weren't, I don't know if they probably did not call it manifesting. It was more of a visualization technique.
Mm-hmm.
But during his physical therapy, this is what they would have him stop prior to starting his physical therapy, which was, oh my God, it was every day for a number of hours each day. And before they would start a session, they would say, let's visualize you walking.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just like, oh, imagine you seeing yourself walking in the future. It was like, no, visualize your physical muscles and how they're going to move.
Yep.
And then each step along the way. And it sounds crazy, but he would have a more productive session each time that they would have them do that. And again, this is just one example, but I think whether it's in physical therapy treatments, whether it's more of a spiritual thing, whether it's angled more as praying, I think there's all of these different forms of manifestation that flow out there. And I've always sort of vibrated with the idea of visual. Well, why not? And I'm always like, that there are people that are cup. What is that saying, cousin? Like cup half empty or cup half full.
Yeah.
And it's kind of along the same premise of how what you put out in life, how you understand it is what you're going to get back, was always sort of my understanding. So I've always tried to take things in stride, face things head on, and not be unrealistic about outcomes, but put a positive spin on it. Because I think if I approach things in a more positive manner and approach things in okay, how are we going to tackle this and how are we going to get the best outcome, that's what I will bring back to me.
Right.
So I think people, even though I don't know it on the same level as you, and I'm so excited to first to sort of be a tag along on this journey, but I think people tap into this without even realizing that they are tapping into this.
Right. Exactly. Because and that's true. And people do. And that's and I actually was going to point that out to you, because you had said when you were talking about your dad, you were like, oh, they didn't call it wasn't manifesting, it was visualizing. That's the same thing.
Right.
It's literally the same thing. All it really is you're trying to generate the feeling you would have doing the action or experiencing the thing that you're focusing in on, like walking in your dad's case, like focusing in on the muscles. I do this at the gym now. I like literally just recently, because I just like Melissa, I'm trying to get trying to get back on the wagon.
That summer bod back.
Still trying to get back on the wagon. But like that visualizing is a big part of it. And actually I was going to say, like at one point around like five years or so ago, you almost forget. Like I had this, phase where I was like really in it and I was visualizing and manifesting, etc. And about 5 years or so ago, it hit me. Like I had this like revelation moment and I was like, oh my God, I've achieved every single goal I was trying to reach. Like,
wow.
I hit my professional goals. I hit my personal goals. Like I achieved every single one. And I was like, well, I got to set some other intentions. I was like, I can't just do this. Like there's so much more out there. So like, and by achieving the goals, I'm not saying like, I don't live in a fantasy. Like I have bad days, which you've all heard about. I had a day where I was crying, bursted into tears before our podcast recording. Like going through this, manifesting, visualizing, meditation, all that, it doesn't mean that your life is like all roses and sunshine. Like you're still
that
a
you're
real
living
person.
in sort of denial.
No, exactly. Like you're still a real human being. You're still going to have bad days, but it's what you do. You can acknowledge the bad moment. I'm not acknowledging that I'm pissed or that I'm feeling pissed off. I'm so pissed off, but then move on from there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
acknowledge the moment, but then move on from it. You don't have to be just living in it all the time. But sorry.
And I think what intrigues me when you're talking about it is that it can be applied across different types of things. So like the example you gave is more of a physical, right? Creating a physical outcome, whether it's your particular muscles or your body or things like that, or it could be career goals,
right? Which is,
or it could like you said, it could be your personal life. So it's something. Again, I think what's intriguing about it is it can be applied across different areas in your life, and also it can sort of come through in different ways. So
right,
for certain people, like to me, for your mother, for an example, my aunt, she probably does this through prayer and doesn't even realize that
she doesn't realize she's doing it.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. So, well, that's also, that's also brings to an important point. If you're consistently focusing on the negative and the wrong, well, that's what you're going to see.
Right.
And this actually goes to this is not just, gurus and it sounds crazy saying guru, but like I have guru. It's not just, it's not just like somebody sitting cross-legged in a room. Mother Teresa, when she was alive, said, I'll never attend an anti-war rally, but if you invite me to a peace rally, I'll be there. Because if everybody is there talking about anti-war, well, you're talking about war.
Right. And it's more of a negative.
But if you're going to a peace rally and we're here to talk about peace, and that's what the focus is, that's where we want to be at. So throwing the whole, if you say it and again, look it up, research it. If you really want to try it out, you can try it out on something simple to start with, just to see if it works. Like, that's kind of how I started. I was like, let me experiment with this and see if this nonsense is actually something. Try it on something simple. And for example, one of the examples that the book that I had, that The Secret, had said, focus on somebody giving you a blue pen or a red pen or whatever. Focus on something obscure, but
very specific.
Yeah. But it's very specific, and see if it happens. And then from there, you'd be like, oh, that's interesting. And then you kind of go on from there. Now, this does get more granular and more in depth the more you study it. So right now, I am taking a virtual course I am so happy about. It's called Abundance Ever After with Cathy Heller. I found Cathy last year when Melissa and I started taking podcasting more seriously by chance. I just Googled how to start a podcast and her podcast popped up and I was like, oh, look, someone's talking about podcasting. And I clicked on it and I listened to it and I liked her vibe. And I was like, oh, what else does she have? And I started looking at her topics and I was like, oh, I'm into this. She's talking about visualizing, manifesting abundance. I'm here for all of that. Let's go. And it's kind of been an interesting journey since then, because I've been able to, I've listened to almost all of her podcast episodes. Not all of them. She has a lot. I've listened to several hundred podcast episodes, but because I found her, it's weird, but because I was guided to her through the universe, basically, and through my own manifesting, it's actually helped us with this podcast, and it's helped me personally, and it's helped me professionally, and it's guided us in this whole direction. And I say us because every time I learn something new, I call Melissa and I'm like, oh my God, you want to hear something? You want to hear this tidbit? Because it's wonderful. So if you don't have someone you follow and you are interested in it, Cathy has she just launched this meditation program membership, which I'm like, this is really awesome, but I already have access. So guys, I'm all in. But she has all these great modules. She does free workshops. She does paid workshops. I'm in the paid program right now because I wanted to go really deep into this, but there's a lot out there. And if Cathy's not your vibe, there's a ton of other people out there that are doing the same thing, that it's just there. there's so much there to access. Melissa, I think you were going to say something.
No, I just wanted to put into context about how you are probably more of out of the two of us, you are definitely more of the realist, I think.
Actually,
right?
that's weird. You're right.
And so I wanted to put this into perspective for our listeners, just that like you are the realist. Like you don't, not that you don't believe in like happy endings or you do obviously,
no,
but you're very,
no, really
but you're
don't.
very realist about how you're going to achieve that and if that is a real thing, then how you were going to create that and bring that out into your own life. So I just wanted to preface with the fact that you are very much a realist, but this is something I think that speaks to you on how you can bring about things that the way you feel your life is supposed to be.
Right.
And it doesn't, not that it always works out perfectly, but this is something I think that resonates with you. And I hope once I'm able to do this, that it can also resonate with me, because I think the basic tenet of it is what you invest in is what you're going to get back, right?
Yes. Yeah. Basically. Yeah. Essentially, yes. That's basically right. And like I said, like I've been dabbling for like 15 years, and I just recently started getting very serious about it. And I took one of Kathy's courses called 8K in 8 days. And I was like, oh, $8,000 in 8 days? Like, what's going to happen at the end of this course? I'm like, this is awesome. I could use $8,000 right now. I didn't get $8,000. However, something happened. Two things happened at the end of that course that was worth more than $8,000 to me.
Yeah.
And that's part of this whole process is it's not exact. It might not be a one-to-one, but it's going to open the doors and it's going to open the pathways.
And it's I think the biggest thing that I've seen with you through this journey, especially when you've sort of stepped it up the last few months, is also your outlook and your approach to different opportunities, to the way you're even approaching, even when you're having a bad day, when you, like you say, when you're talking about, you obviously are still, everybody has bad days, bad moments, but even the way you're approaching that and the way you handle that has been different.
Yeah.
Since you started really stepping up in this sort of manifestation journey. And I remember after you took that like short 8-day course, I remember you literally calling me and be like, so I've been doing it wrong for the past, or doing it slightly wrong.
I have been doing freaking visualizations wrong for like freaking 14. Do you know how mind blowing that is, people? That like this entire time. That's why I said like look into it, because there's layers to it. Like the first layer is like starting to get your mind wrapped around the fact that you can manifest things into existence, and visualizing. That's like step one. There's like layers. And then it shows you, once you start peeling the layers back and you start to really clear out the garbage in your head that has been blocking you from abundance, it's like, I cannot believe this entire time I've been holding myself back. It's wild. So I have like a couple of things I want to share based off of what I've learned thus far. And Melissa's been getting these in drips and drabs. So just a few things, and this is it's almost like
it's a good summary.
Yeah, it's like a summary essentially. Guided meditation daily. I'm actually doing them almost every single day, sometimes twice a day. Like, and when I'm greedy, I do it 3 times a day. And by greedy, I mean like I love it so much, and you can just feel yourself opening up to just the plethora of opportunities that are out there.
Guys, I tried to get her to do it.
Oh, she did. I was like, no, hell no, I'm not there, guys. Eventually, maybe, but no, not today.
But we'll come back around, and maybe in a few months she'll be ready, because
maybe I'll be ready.
I wanted to do that.
Yeah,
but yes, guided meditation.
It's like, I mean, doing it like, and I'm following Kathy and I'm going with her meditations. I strong recommend for me. It's like, changing. I have my kids doing it with me too, which is actually super
that's
cute
amazing.
because they're like, "Mommy, it's time. Let's go." So I'm
Literally
doing
the other morning they pulled you aside and was like,
that's true. You're like, "I'm ready."
We were talking about, I don't even remember.
We were trying to record, and they were like,
Oh,
"Mommy, it's
that's
time to go
right.
meditate
That's
at the
right.
beach." And I was like, "Oh, right. Sorry. Hold on a second." So that's a big thing. You know, if you can get meditate, and even if it's 5 minutes, guys, it doesn't have to be long. Sometimes I only have 10 minutes. Like it could be that quick. This next bullet pains me, but stop trying to control everything. When you're trying to control everything, like me and Melissa do, it's actually putting out the vibe that you're not having faith in the path that is opening up to you. So trying to control every single like I'm not going to give up all control. That's not going to happen. But you know,
as much as possible.
Trying like and by stop trying to control everything, I mean, like, for example, with our podcast, I would get frustrated some days and being like, oh, I have to do so many things, or I have to do this, and we're building our website, and I got to be here, and
it's got to be perfect.
We got to write up the script. No, we don't. Like, we can ease back, which is why Melissa's sensing that, like, the shifts in me, because she's seeing me ease back and being like, okay, well, whatever, we can just do it this way. Like, it's not a big deal. So making sure that, like, you're not like OCD obsessing over trying to control everything. Surrounding yourself with positive support, huge. Try to get rid of any toxic people, elements, anything in your life. Like, try to do away with it as much as you can. Taking the leap. So, you know, like when you're trying to break out of a cycle, you get like an uncomfortable feeling. And it feels like, oh, and that uncomfortable feeling usually discourages people when they're trying to break out of a cycle. Like, for example, if you're trying to disconnect from toxic people, which I just touched on lightly, and you're trying to pull away from people that you're like, I feel like this is not the right person to be involved in my life. The clapback basically is, well, that person's obviously not going to like it because they've been feeding off your energy this entire time. But you have to do it to survive. So that'll be your first hurdle, is going to someone saying, like, I don't want you in my existence anymore. But then outside of that, you're also going to feel some level of guilt and devastation, and you will feel weird, and you're going to feel off, and you're going to question yourself. That's because you're retraining your brain and you're reteaching yourself, like, this is not the way we need to do things. If you have chronic stress and you're constantly stressed out about family stuff or work stuff or whatever, your brain and your body are eventually becoming addicted to the cortisol rush, like the stress hormone rush. You start to get addicted to it. So when you try to step away from chronically stressful situations to improve your life, it feels uncomfortable. And it feels uncomfortable because you're actually going through withdrawal. Sounds intense.
Yeah.
Your mind has become conditioned to thinking a specific way. And when those synapses are firing, you're used to that. It's comfortable. It feels good. It's like going back, and how many people go back to bad relationships constantly over and over again? And people are like, what the hell are you doing? Because you get so addicted to feeling like shit that you don't actually realize you feel like shit. You don't realize it.
Yeah.
Because you're like, this is comfortable to me. It's scary to not feel like shit. But once you make that break and you step away from that and you retrain your brain, the things that open up to you are like mind blowing. So that's just kind of like basic summary of, like, over the past few weeks, things that I've been picking up that I'm like, this is important. I need to write this down. Like, oh, I had this notebook that Melissa gave me when I was her maid of honor that I've actually been using as like my workbook. And I've been jotting all of my thoughts in there. And as I'm going through all these courses, I'm like, oh my God, this is important. Let me write this down. You know, I cannot say enough how life-changing it is if you have a moment to really investigate this and really give it a shot. I say it again, like, I strongly recommend Kathy and her guided, workshops and classes and everything. But her podcast is free. So if you ever want to check that out, look her up on Apple Podcasts. She has podcasts about manifesting and abundance and alignment, and it's there. It's right there. And it could be everybody's. You just have to tap on it and open that door.
Yeah. And I think that's sort of bringing it full circle. When we recorded last week and it kind of popped into that episode a little bit, after we got done, I was like, Jenny, maybe we should just do a whole episode, because honestly, I've never seen you more inspired than you are right now at this sort of moment in your life. And sometimes you don't know who's going to resonate with this and who it could be life-changing for them too,
Right. Exactly. And that was like when we recorded the last episode, we were a little bit delayed because of Father's Day, but when we recorded the last episode, that was the first thing that Melissa said. She's like, we should really do a podcast on this. You're really passionate about it. We really need to talk about this. So hopefully some of it came through. Hopefully. And honestly, even if it's just one person that this reaches and they're like, let me give this a shot, and it changes things for you and opens doors for you, the whole thing is worth it. The whole thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think what I love about this podcast is we're able to, again, this is us being real. Each episode, we bring something that is affecting us, is touching our lives in a real way. Mm-hmm. And I love how each episode is sort of just like a window, could be these windows for our listeners, for us to sort of take as a cue. And if something resonates with someone, or if something speaks to someone, they're able to sort of go off into that journey and open that door and see where it takes them. So I really thought it was important for you to, I've never seen you so passionate about something, and I've never seen something bring such positive impacts to your life in such a short amount of time.
Yes.
It's really
agreed.
been.
Yeah. Agreed.
Again, high priority on my
priority, life-changing. I'm not kidding.
Serious.
Bananas. So thank you guys for listening to this episode. I really do truly hope at least one of you has that chance to give it a shot, because this is it's been a game changer for me. And I just want everyone to do it, because I'm like, this is amazing. We should all be doing this. Don't forget, you can find us on Instagram at Steel Roses Podcast. You can email us at steelrosespodcast@gmail.com. And now you can reach us on our website, steelroseswomen.com. And then all of our podcasts and stuff is in there. And there's some fun messages from us. Also on the website is the members only page where you can sign up once we launch our Steel Roses Women membership. So please check it all out. And, give us feedback, give us comments. We love hearing from you guys. It's definitely a highlight for us. So we're very excited, very happy to be here.
Yeah, we're really grateful. And we're so excited to be sort of expanding our platform a little bit. So, our website is up, it's running, and we are thrilled. We also you have to make the announcement, cousin.
Which
we have officially gone international.
Oh, that one.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, I did. I was very excited.
We have
texting
to share
you
with our listeners.
That's true. I am a obviously data junkie, and I check our metrics quite consistently. And we went international, and we have Steel Rose podcast listeners across the globe. So we are incredibly proud and very grateful to all of you.
So grateful
being here with us. It's been amazing. We know it's going to continue to be amazing, and we really just can't wait for the next things that are going to come our way.
So yes, please feel free to reach out, Steel Roses Podcast @gmail.com, Steel Roses Podcast on Instagram, and Steel Roses Women, MEN at the end.com. So please come find us. We want to hear from you guys, and we are so grateful to be on this journey with you. So thank you, and we'll be back next week.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.